In the vast Egyptian desert where the sand hides millennial secrets, a team of archaeologists discovered a pyramid covered by the dunes. Its structure, crumbled by the passage of time, sparked an insatiable curiosity. After weeks of hard work, they managed to open the entrance and enter its interior, revealing a beautifully preserved coffin adorned with intricate golden carvings. This discovery marked the beginning of a new era in the history of Egypt. If this is your first time on the channel, subscribe now so you don't miss any important content about the darkest chapters of our history. As the archaeologists carefully opened the coffin, they revealed the remains of Queen Seraphina, a ruler who had lived over 800 years ago. Despite the time that had passed, her beauty seemed eternal, her face still calm in death, speaking of a grandeur that had endured through the centuries. Around her, artifacts shone with secrets. An encrusted staff, a decorated mask, and papyrus scrolls describing a forgotten civilization. Among these scrolls, a map marked the location of a mysterious city lost in history that promised to reveal more about the life and legacy of Queen Seraphina. This discovery was not only an archaeological treasure. It contained clues about a deep and forgotten knowledge, a legacy that had been buried, waiting for the right moment to shine again. The figure of Queen Seraphina emerged as a symbol of an era of splendor, and her story was a puzzle that the archaeologists were eager to solve. The discovery of her tomb would not only change the history of Egypt but also unleash a quest to unravel the secrets of the strange city that the queen had left behind. Meanwhile, in another corner of Egypt, when the sun rises over the western bank of Thebes, a new day began for a team of workers in the village of Medina. Every morning, these workers said goodbye to their families and embarked on an hour-long walk to their workplace in a place now known as the Valley of the Kings. This valley is famous for the tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun, whose discovery in 1922 revealed a treasure trove of artifacts and riches. Despite being one of the most famous tombs in the valley, Tutankhamun's tomb was one of the smallest and simplest. The art of tomb construction had reached its peak about 40 years after his burial, during the reign of Seti I. This pharaoh inherited a weakened empire whose glory had declined under the rule of Akhenaten. Seti I faced the challenge of restoring Egypt's power and reviving its greatness, a task that required both military conquests and ambitious construction projects. Seti I was an experienced soldier, and his determination was unshakable. He launched a series of military campaigns in Syria and Palestine, taking control of the Phoenician ports and securing trade routes that had been neglected. While his soldiers instilled fear in Egypt's enemies, his builders worked tirelessly on his eternal resting place in the Valley of the Kings. The organization of the work was meticulous. Each craftsman and worker had a specific role in the construction of his tomb. The design of Seti I's tomb was extraordinary. It began with a long corridor that descended by two staircases to reach a deep vertical pit. This pit was ingeniously designed to trap both floodwaters and potential tomb robbers, a problem that had plagued pharaohs throughout history. As the workers advanced in the construction, the security of the tomb became a top priority. The construction process was organized like an assembly line. First, the stonemasons carved the tomb in solid rock using copper chisels, illuminating their work with oil lamps. The amount of oil was carefully monitored. If they ran out of oil, it meant they had worked the proper amount of time. The plasterers covered the rough walls with plaster and lime, preparing the surface for decoration. Then, the artists came in to carry out the design of the master craftsman, using black ink to sketch the plans. The corrections of the master were visible, showing the meticulous work and the mistakes made in the process. The scenes adorning the tomb were a reflection of the pharaoh's power and divinity. Seti I was depicted as the god of the sun, illustrating his journey through the underworld each night in the burial chamber. At the end of the tomb, this representation culminated in the pharaoh's ascension to the sky at dawn. The columns of the Great Hall and Hypostyle Hall rose imposing, with a height rivaling 7-story buildings. They were a marvel of ancient engineering, each one designed to support a vast ceiling and give a sense of grandeur to the hall. The Hypostyle Hall was not only an architectural achievement but also a symbol of the restoration of Egypt's power under the leadership of Seti I. However, his reign was not without difficulties. The military campaigns were costly and risky, and the construction of monuments required massive labor and considerable resources. Still, Seti I was determined to secure Egypt's greatness, fighting to reclaim lands that had been lost during the Amarna period. As archaeologists would discover more about the life of Queen Seraphina, the connections between her and Seti I's legacy became evident. Both rulers had faced challenges in a transforming Egypt, but their stories intertwined with a common thread: the pursuit of greatness and the preservation of Egyptian culture. Seraphina had ruled in a time of splendor, while Seti I had fought to restore that splendor after years of decline. The discovery of the map that accompanied the remains of Queen Seraphina promised to reveal more about this intertwined history. The search for the mysterious city marked on the map sparked the interest of archaeologists, historians, and adventurers worldwide. The possibility of discovering a forgotten civilization and unearthing its historical secrets was an irresistible lure. What would this city reveal about the legacy of Queen Seraphina? Did it have any connection to the great achievements of Seti I and his attempt to restore Egypt's power? The search for the lost city became a large-scale expedition. Archaeological teams joined forces, sharing knowledge and resources, driven by the excitement of the unknown. The narrative of Queen Seraphina and Seti I expanded as excavations, explorations, and studies of the artifacts found about the possible location of the city were organized. The expeditions ventured deep into the desert in search of answers. The findings began to emerge slowly: remains of ancient structures, ceramics, and tools of an advanced civilization confirmed that the city had once existed. Archaeologists discovered inscriptions that narrated the daily life, traditions, and beliefs of the civilization that once inhabited the city. The stories of Queen Seraphina and Seti I intertwined as more of their time was unearthed, revealing a shared legacy of power and greatness. As the search progressed, the legacy of Seraphina became a symbol of resistance and strength for Egypt. The civilization that once thrived under her rule became a beacon of hope and discovery for future generations. The history of Egypt, with its cultural and spiritual wealth, was revealed in all its complexity and beauty. Finally, after months of research and excavations, the team of archaeologists made a significant breakthrough by discovering what appeared to be the center of the lost city. The structures were impressive, with enormous columns rivaling those in Seti I's tomb and the hypostyle hall. The decorations on the walls reflected a fusion of styles, a testimony to the cultural exchange and influence that had marked this civilization. The discovery of the lost city not only marked a victory for archaeology but also offered a new perspective on the history of Egypt. Queen Seraphina, with her beauty and wisdom, and Seti I, with his power and determination, were now central figures in a broader narrative about the greatness of a civilization that had left an indelible mark. If you've made it this far, you've learned something new with our stories. Subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss our upcoming videos. Together, we can discover and remember the truths that history often tries to hide.